This is the last chapter. One last message. On the roof of the gray shack, Alex gripped the colorful cloth like it was a lifeline. This is his robe, he whispered to the girl. She nodded, pushed her fingers through her hair, and lifted them, making her hair stand up. Yes, Alex said, laughing a little. Yes, the man with the hair, Mr. Today. He paused and grew somber again. He's dead now. The girl put a finger to her eye and traced an invisible tear down it. Yeah, Alex said. He was a little embarrassed now that he'd cried so hard in front of a stranger. Not because he was a male, since men and women in Arteme cried freely whenever they felt like crying, but because unexpected sobbing might make a stranger feel awkward. But she didn't seem to mind. And Cimber, he said. You probably never saw him. He's huge and scary looking, so I'm sure they kept him away from you once you woke up. But he was really nice deep down. He looked sidelong at her now, remembering their first meeting face to face. You totally spit all over me, he reminded her, trying not to smile. She raised her hand to her mouth, eyes wide and mischievous. Then she acted out the scene from her perspective. Alex tried to narrate. It was like doing pantomimes in actor studio. You were scared? He guessed. Everyone was staring at you. She nodded. She looked around, forlorn. You didn't know where you were, he said. And the boy, is he your brother? She nodded. Ah, okay, that's what I thought. Anyway, you're saying he was sleeping and wouldn't wake up, and you didn't know what was happening? The girl nodded. The silent girl nodded again. And so you spit water on me. Makes perfect sense. She laughed, a silent laugh. Then she made a sorry face. Alex smiled sadly. Ah, it's okay. It was just a little spit. He reached out absent-mindedly and touched the metal thorns around her neck. She shrank back slightly, and Alex looked up. Oh, geez, I'm sorry. He pulled his hand away. You saw my friend Megan inside, right? He asked. She nodded, her face turning serious again. I guess that's your island, huh? Did you and your brother escape? She narrowed her eyes and looked away quickly, focusing on the ocean. What? Did I say something bad? She didn't respond or react in any way. Okay, sorry, he said. You don't want to talk about it. She gave him a measured sidelong glance, and then rolled her eyes. Oops, he said. He was quiet for a moment. But don't you want that neck thing taken off? I'm just worried that, like, what will happen, like, to your neck and your voice and stuff if it comes off. Plus, we don't exactly have the right tools here. The girl raised her hands and put them in front of Alex's face, pushing him away. He took her wrists and gently moved them apart so he could see her face. I don't understand, he said. She bit her lip and turned her face away. And now it was her turn to cry. Dang it, he said under his breath. I'm sorry. I'll shut up now. I didn't mean to make you cry. He dropped her wrists and scrambled to his knees, sinking his hands deep into his pockets to see if he had a hanky, forgetting that all of his cloths had been soaked in the ocean, along with everything in his pockets. He pulled out a few bits of wadded-up tissue, some useless scatter clips, and a marble from one pocket. From the other, he pulled out something he didn't recognize at first. It was a folded piece of paper. And then he gasped. His heart thudding in his chest. He recognized the colorful border design. It had to be a spell from Mr. Today. Why hadn't he thought to check his pockets earlier? His hand shook violently as he tried to unfold it, begging to catch a break, pleading that the ocean water hadn't washed the magical words away. He didn't notice the silent girl watching him, startled from her tears by his sudden strange behavior. Finally, he got the paper open, and he smoothed it carefully. The words were there. They'd not been washed away at all. Each letter was bright and clear as the morning sky. He held the note up to the light of the moon and read, "To whom it may concern, follow the dots as the traveling sun. Magnify, focus every one. Stand enrobed where you first saw me. Utter in order, repeat times 3. I apologize for the cryptic nature of this note, but I know you'll understand. I'm sorry, my boy, so very sorry. I've left you what you need in my chambers, but if something unexpected happens, follow the above. Yours, Marcus Today." Wait a minute. To whom it may be concerned, follow the dots as the traveling sun. Follow the dots as the traveling sun. Magnify, focus everyone. Stand enrobed where you first saw me. That sounds like you need to stand at like the death farm, enrobed, probably wearing the robe. Utter in order. Utter in order. Repeat times 3. The note also said, "P.S. 5 heart attack components? What a waste. He could have done the deed with 3. Ha ha. Ouch." P.S. In case you're curious, he's got 2 left on the desk. Remember for later. Farewell. I do believe in you. Huh? So is he dead or not dead? Or is he dead and he wrote a note as he died? It's amazing. Or he knew it was going to happen. I don't get it. Alex stared at the note, and he read it once and a second time. His heart ached, remembering the amazing Mr. Today, and it made him feel a little bit better to know that the old mage was jolly enough to make a joke, even at the end. But Alex's eyes kept going back to the spell, which made almost no sense at all. The only word that stuck out was enrobed. He knew what that meant. He clutched Mr. Today's robe like it was a gift made of gold, and he delighted in the ease of its acquisition. "Ha!" he said aloud, looking up. Aaron had given him something invaluable, and he hadn't even meant to do it. All Alex had to do was figure out what the rest of it meant. Then wear the robe, and ta-da! Arteme would be back. Really? Alex's blood surged. To have such a valuable clue put him about 100 times closer to saving Arteme than he'd been 5 minutes ago. He was so excited that he nearly lost his balance and fell off the roof. But the silent girl grabbed his shirt just in time. He steadied himself, sat back down, and squeezed her hand, thanking her. He scratched his head through the mess of tangled hair and stared at the note. "This is it," he whispered reverently. "This is the help I've been begging for." He looked at the girl and said, "You know what? We just might live through this after all." He looked out to the west where Warbler was, and even though he couldn't see it from here in the darkest hours, and even though there was no magic to be found in all of Arteme, still Alex concentrated with all of his might and whispered to his friends a world away, "Hold on." That is the end of the Island of Silence.